Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Oh my Lord, what a morning to get up. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. We got some breaking news. Well, it's not really breaking news anymore because it's been going on since late last night in the wee early morning or late night, depending on how you see it. Venezuela was attacked by America. America, yes. America, home of the brave, land of the free. Drop bombs on it. And now we got some updates. And there's going to be a press conference in about 25 minutes from now that we need to go and take a look at. President Trump will be speaking out about what happened here. And I'm telling you right now, I'll tell you my opinions in a little bit, but this is some wild stuff, okay? So please do me a favor. Before we get into everything, hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. And if you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, please make sure you hit that follow button, all right? And if you are watching on my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, okay? We're going to be holding each other's hands throughout the rest of 2026. I mean, for the next 3 years, we're, forever. How's that? Until life resets and chaos subsides. So just hit that subscribe button, okay? Support the channel if you can. Hit that notification bell, set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random or it's breaking news like this stuff, like right here is a perfect example. I could have gone live at 2 o'clock in the morning last night, but I said, I'm not going to do that to y'all. So I'm here with you guys live. So hit that notification bell. Hit that join button down below. Become a member of the family. That'll be greatly appreciated. Check out my Patreon. We got some stuff coming up in the Patreon. So I just want to emphasize that now because stuff is coming over there. So go check that out. Support over there if you want to support even further. Join the Patreon. And of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there, okay? PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys, we got to get into this conversation. All right, guys. Whoo, boy. What a morning to wake up to all this. We knew this was going to happen at some point. We just didn't know when. And now we are seeing it with our own two eyes. So we're going to get straight to the meat and potatoes. U.S. drops biggity boom booms on targets in Venezuela. And then they captured Maduro and his wife. Allegedly, they snatched him from his slumber. Yes, snatched him from his own bed whilst he and his wife were resting their weary little heads for the night. 3 days into the third day, I guess, the third day into 2026, and we got them woken up by military, capturing them, throwing them onto a boat, and taking them to the U.S. Yes, guys, quite the morning and quite the start for their new year, Maduro and his wife. This is some pretty crazy stuff, y'all. We got a lot to look at. We got a press conference coming up very, very soon. This is a very, very big deal. Now, I know that there's going to be people who are very upset that President Peace did what he did. But here's the thing. There are people in Venezuela that are actually rejoicing. I'm not kidding. People are rejoicing in the streets that this, as they said, this dictator, this tyrant is gone. But here's the thing. My concern is who's going to take over? Who next? Who is next? Remember, just because Maduro's gone and he's going to be locked up and God knows what he's going to be facing doesn't mean that corruption is gone. And I know that there's a lot of people that are going, well, this is about oil. Sorry, let me say that again. It's about oil. Is it? Or is it about that fentanyl, that Fenty, that F, that stuff that Trump has been saying is the reason why they've been striking on boats coming out of Venezuela? Me, I'm telling you right now, it's oil. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep it real. They are rich in that resource, Venezuela. But we'll see. Just because they got oil does not mean that the substances like Fenty and whatnot aren't really coming out of the country. But at the same time, we all know what's really going on here, right? It's the same thing with Nigeria. Yeah, I said it. I'm sorry. Nigeria is rich in minerals. Rich in minerals. But they're saying, oh, it's because they're going after Christians in Nigeria. Hence the reason why they've been striking over there as well. Is it really because of religious persecution? Just going to ask these questions for you guys to discuss in the chat. But be kind to each other in the chat because this is very serious. They struck. Let's just get back over to Venezuela. Okay, let's get back over to the other side of the ocean, way down south to Venezuela. They struck certain areas. My concern is, what about the people that live in those areas? Were there any casualties? Aside from soldiers, let's just be real. Okay, not saying that those soldiers' lives aren't important, but I'm talking about civilian lives. Were there lives that were taken during this attack? We got to ask these questions, right? Because these lives do matter. They do. But it's all, in my personal opinion, about oil. It's all about oil. Same reason why he's looking at Greenland. Remember that, guys? He's still looking at Greenland. The only reason why he's looking at Greenland is not because he's like, oh, I love the country. It's a very nice, huge, untapped spot. No, it's not because of the land. He's looking at that area because of the resources, guys. It's the resources. Nigeria, same thing, rich in minerals. But he's going, Christians are getting persecuted. Christians are getting hurt. We must protect them. Venezuela is the Fenty that's it's getting trafficked into America. That's taking all of our loved ones' lives whenever they do a little inject. But in actuality, it's about the oil. All things to think about, guys. I know somebody out there is going to be like, nope, I don't agree with you. You're wrong. He's doing all this because he's trying to protect America. I don't know about all that, guys. With all due respect, I need to see more proof. But let's get into this, shall we? We got a lot to look at. Trump is supposed to address the nation, or address the world, actually, in about a little bit over 15 minutes. Okay, hold on. I myself am still trying to get all the sleep out of my body, so please bear with me, all right? This cold that I had last week is still holding on. It's, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's that Wilson Phillips, you know what I mean? Hold on for one more day. You know what I'm saying? It's holding on for dear life. Okay. So let's get into this, okay? And we're going to see a lot of footage here soon. Oops. Well, let's get into here. So first off, Maduro. Well, first off, the strike happened, right? They dropped bombs, horde, and then they captured Maduro. So Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia were captured by a unit of elite Delta Force soldiers while they slept in their beds. So yeah, they woke up to, hup, 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 hup. You know what I mean? Get up. It's time to go. So he's still probably in his PJs right now. Silk, probably. Silk pajamas. I just want to remind you, people are literally rejoicing in the streets. And there's a mass exodus that's happening right now as we speak, with people trying to drive into Colombia right now. But I want to remind you, Trump is trying to wage some sort of grudge. He's trying to start a street fight with Colombia as well. But people are trying to move into Colombia right now as we speak because of what just happened, which I don't blame them. I'd want to kick rocks too. Crazy. So the left-wing leader, who will now stand trial in New York City on substances and bang charges, was taken in the early hours of Saturday morning. A source told the network the operation, which struck 5 Venezuelan sites, including 3 in the country's capital, Caracas, did not result in any casualties. They're saying there are no casualties. So it was just the most perfect strike ever. Real talk. Perfect strike. No issues whatsoever. No one lost their lives. Wow. That is quite the thing to say. I would like to hear from the people from the streets first. No casualties? Okay. Trump said the Maduros have been taken to the USS Iwo Jima, okay, the assault ship, and that they'll later be transported to New York City. He hailed the operation as brilliant. I think that's going to be the new word of the month, okay? In a brief New York Times interview early Saturday. So the president later called into Fox News breakfast, the breakfast show, the Fox and Friends show, excitedly telling the hosts, I mean, I watched it literally. I was watching a television show. If you would have seen the speed, the violence, it was an amazing thing. He watched it like he was watching a TV show. Okay. These are human lives, but this is real life. This isn't a reality show. It's definitely not a violent apprentice show. But okay, sure. President Trump says he will hold a press conference today from his Mar-a-Lago Country Club in Palm Beach, Florida today, which he's supposed to be having that fairly soon. This is not the right time, but apparently he's supposed to be having it within the next 15, 20 minutes or so. All right. Explosions were seen ripping across Caracas during the daring raid, with Venezuelan Attorney General Saab insisting the innocents had been mortally wounded by the U.S. operation. So you got Venezuelan's Attorney General saying that innocent lives had been mortally wounded by this particular attack. Let me repeat that again. Well, let me rewind really quick. We just heard them say that there were no casualties whatsoever. But on the contrary, mon frere, they're saying that the Venezuelan AG, so basically, I guess like a Pam Bondi, if you will, Venezuela's version of a Pam Bondi, is basically saying, oh, no. Innocent lives were taken. People were mortally wounded in this specific operation. Interesting, don't you think? But you know how it is. It was a perfect attack. It was brilliant. It was like watching a TV show. Violent and quick. It was exciting. Interesting, right? 2 days before this actual raid, Maduro issued a plea for peace to the U.S. and made reports he began sleeping in different places every night in a bid to avoid capture. That's interesting. So he was on the run. He was out on the lam, babies. Speaking to a Spanish journalist, Maduro said the American people should know they have a friendly, peaceful people here and a friendly government as well. They should know that our message is very clear. Not war, yes, peace. Yes, this is crazy. KJR. This is crazy. So you got the president of Venezuela saying, no, right? Now, think about this. Think about this for a second. Do you really think any freaking country wants to mess with the likes of the US? Do you really think any country wants to wake up a ravenous, rabid, freaking angry, and very hungry bear? Think about that for a second. Think about that. You really think the likes of Maduro is going to be like, let's attack America? That is the dumbest thing any dictator, leader, president, whatever you want to call him, tyrant, is the dumbest thing in the world. Now, the likes of like China and Russia and them, that's a different story, right? That makes sense. Their countries are massive. They got a lot of people. Their armies are out of this world. But the likes of a smaller country like Venezuela, you really think they're going to go over and be like, yeah, come on, bro. It's like real life Kevin Hart trying to fight The Rock. You know what I'm saying? So just so you know, Kevin Hart is Venezuela, and then America is The Rock. Like real talk, a street fight like that. Of course he's going to say, and I'm not sitting here saying that he doesn't want that he doesn't want peace, but it is the logical choice. Hey, I don't want no problems. I don't want no war. Of course not, because America would tear them inside out. We would take over that country like that. It would be a new state, right? It would be a new extension of America, like Puerto Rico, right? Yes, it's no bueno, Santos. It is no bueno, cabron. No bueno. So you don't want that. No one wants that. Come on, y'all. All right? Any logical person that isn't just out their freaking mind, they're going to realize that messing with America is a bad idea. So of course they're going to sit there and say, no war, just peace. We want to be cool with y'all. That's it, right? But Trump has been focused on this. So during that same interview, Maduro said he'd be willing to work with the U.S. to curtail the situation of moving substances across the ocean. So Trump claims Maduro is the head of a narcotics cartel, which has flooded the U.S. with illegal substances. So speaking to the New York Times at 4:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, 9 minutes after announcing the raid on his Truth Social website, Trump said a lot of good planning and a lot of great troops and great people. It was a brilliant operation, actually. I guess he was asked if he had consulted Congress prior to authorizing this actual strike. And Trump said, we'll discuss that. So in my mind, he probably said, I'm just going to say what I'm going to have this happen because I'm Trump. So don't even waste my time. Right. You are asking me, did I ask for permission from Congress? Hell no. I just made this happen because I said so. That's it, right? We'll discuss that later. Interesting. But let's play a little bit of this here real quick, okay?
Right in Caracas, and striking that as certainly would certainly be considered a major escalation. And now, given what the president said, we know that that has taken place. Well, according to the defense minister, helicopters were used in combat. There was helicopter gunships used on the part of the United States, and so he is speaking and has said that the government continues. He called the United States act criminal. He's asking for people in Venezuela to remain calm and to not panic. They want to avoid chaos and anarchy. He has announced a state of emergency across the entire national territory, and he has called up a deployment of all relevant military members there inside the country. So this is the first time we're really hearing a senior member of the Maduro government come out and talk like this, a very senior person, given that is the defense minister. But crucially, it's not Maduro himself. Given what the president has said, that's not a surprise. But this is the first time that we're hearing specifically from a senior member here.
Did the defense minister mention, have any information about how many injured, how many dead?
He did say, it's a good question. He said that because these attacks happened in an urban complex, which we know is true because we know that some of the main military bases in Caracas are in populated areas, even where there are hotels nearby. He says that they are currently checking on the numbers of injured or killed, but no word yet specifically as to what those numbers are.
Okay, ABC's Matt Rivers, thanks so much for that information. I want to go to Stephen Ganyard. He's an ABC News contributor. I want to get your reaction now that we've heard since the last time we spoke, now that we have confirmation about this move from the White House to get Maduro and his wife, capture them and out of the country. What is your reaction?
It's extraordinary. When we talked a few minutes ago, that we saw that there were videos from Caracas showing multiple helicopters, which presumably were U.S. Special Operations helicopters, MH-47 Chinooks. There appeared to be a attack by helicopters on some part of Caracas, showing rockets going into an area that appeared to be coming from helicopters. So this would seem to be a big operation that went after the main elements of the Maduro regime and the Venezuelan military. So we know that the strikes were against numerous military targets, to include communication sites up in the hills above Caracas. But most interestingly, all of that probably was a diversion, or at least something to distract.
Say, hold on. Ali, can you say, can you send me the article of that? If that's true, that is insane. So now he's threatening the president of Mexico? I'm sorry. What? Yeah, send it to me, because I thought somebody said something in the corner of my eye. I could have sworn somebody said something about like Libya, something about Libya. Like, what in the hell's going on here? So what is going on? Good day to everybody. Good day, Helen. Hello, I see you there. Hi. What is going on? Oh, Happy New Year to every single last one of y'all. And I don't mean to chuckle, but this just seems so beyond. It doesn't feel true. Hold on, we're coming back to that piece, but I want us to hear a little bit of what Trump said on Fox and Friends, because there's just so much going on, y'all. This is just, all of this is nuck and futz. All of it is. There's supposed to be hold on, sorry. I'm just getting his live feed put up here real quick, because it's supposed to be happening very soon. Trump doing his address to the world about what happened overnight. Like I said, for those y'all who did watch throughout the night, and for those content creators that did cover this overnight, I applaud them. Real talk. That is some serious That is some serious dedication and love. And I don't know, I'm at that place in my life right now where sleep is like extremely important now. So I was like, I could do this and get up early in the morning, be up with you guys at 3:00 in the morning, just watching bombs go off and everything, which is not a great thing to watch. Okay. Not a great thing to see overnight. But at the same time, I was like, man, I am so tired. Like, sleep is a rare gem. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, I'm good. I'm a lot better than I was last week. Okay. It's just I'm still waking up. I'm still getting all this gunk out of my head. Okay. But yeah, cold is gone. I'm just trying to, like I said, sleep gunk still in my head. But nonetheless, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. For those of y'all, you understand what I'm talking about. Sleep is a rare gem. So you just get it when you can. Okay. And so I was like, man, I could go live right now, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this sleep because this is important too. I'll take a look at that, Allie. Thank you so much for sending it to me. But this is crazy. So let's hear Trump, okay? Because we're gonna hear him in a second here too. Which, by the way, I'm gonna make sure I have the feed somewhere so that if he does go live on time, which I doubt he will, we can have that ready to go. But let's hear what he says on Fox and Friends. And I guess let's see. I have a feeling this is going to be a long speech, by the way, today. I just have a feeling he's going to go off script. I don't think he's going to stay on script, but you never know. We'll see what happens. Is this a distraction from the Epstein files? A lot of people are thinking that as well. Allegedly, there is a TikTok video where there is a audio that was leaked, allegedly, of Trump going off on his staff and basically screaming, saying, I don't care, start a war, anything, because if I go down, you're all going down with me. And it was all over the Epstein files. That's allegedly what people are saying and what's been shared all over TikTok, which is crazy. So, again, very interesting stuff. Let's continue. Yeah, some of y'all thinking this is just a distraction. He wants to start wars with Colombia. He's already starting stuff with Venezuela. He's now possibly talking about Mexico. Hamburger. Let's get into this, and I'm going to check to see if the live has started.
It's 9 a.m. on the East Coast, and if you're just joining us this morning, we have major breaking news. Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro has been captured by U.S. forces. President Trump confirming the large-scale U.S. military operation overnight.
Attorney General Pam Bondi confirming Maduro and his wife face drug and weapons charges in the U.S. And about 20 minutes ago, Vice President J.D.
Why the creepy music? Why this is not Halloween. Where's Michael Myers? What's up with the creepy music in the background, man?
Revealing President Trump offered Maduro multiple off-ramps.
All this comes after explosions rocked the capital of Caracas and surrounding states early this morning. President Trump is expected to hold a news conference from Mar-a-Lago at 11 a.m. this morning. But first, he joins us now by phone. And let's get right to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. President Trump, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning.
So you've had quite a busy evening. Tell us about it.
It was slightly busy, I would say. It was very dark all over, especially in Venezuela. The team did an incredible job. They rehearsed and practiced like nobody's ever seen. And I was told by real military people that there's no other country on earth that could do such a maneuver. If you would have seen what happened, I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show. And if you would have seen the speed, the violence, they say that, the speed, the violence, they use that term. It's it was an amazing thing, an amazing job that these people did. There's nobody else could have done anything like it.
You're at Mar-a-Lago right now. How were you able to watch this?
Well, we watched it from a room. We had a room and we watched it and we watched every aspect of it. We were surrounded by lots of people, including generals, and they knew everything that was happening. And it was very complex, extremely complex, the whole maneuver, the landings, the number of aircraft, which were a massive number, the number of helicopters, a different type of helicopters, different type of fighter jets. We had a fighter jet for every possible situation. And they just broke in, and they broke into places that were not really able to be broke into, you know, with steel doors that were put there for just this reason. And they got taken out in a matter of seconds. I've never seen anything like it. Actually.
And you were able to watch this in real time.
Yeah, and don't forget, I've done some pretty good ones in other parts of the world. Okay, I've done some pretty good ones, but I've never seen anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time, and I watched every aspect of it, and I listened to the communication between, you know, where we were in Florida and out in the field in Venezuela. And it was amazing to see the professionalism, the quality of leadership, the professionalism. General Raisin Kane is fantastic. Don't forget, we did another one not so long ago. It was called the knocking out of the Iranian nuclear threat, the nuclear power. And that was unbelievable what they did there. And this is something that, gee, I don't know, it's amazing. And to have a few injuries, but no death on our side is really amazing.
Mr. President, critics will say that strong action can risk escalation, but history has shown us that weakness can truly invite chaos. And this military operation clearly sends a message to our adversaries around the world, China, Iran, Russia, that we are no longer the weak administration that we had for 4 years under former President Biden, who tolerated narco-terrorism. What is next for the United States and Venezuela?
Well, we're very strong, and very importantly, if you look at drugs through the oceans, through the seas, they're down 97%. That's the boats. It's sort of related to this, as you know. The drugs are way down, and it's getting very, very tough. It's a whole different look. We have a whole different country. We have a country now that's respected. We have a country. I built the military in my first term, and they gave a little chunk of it away, but it was a lot. But it was a little chunk relative to what we built. But they gave it to Afghanistan so stupidly. It was one of the, compare this to Afghanistan, where we were a laughing stock all over the world. We're not a laughing stock anymore. No, we have the greatest military in the world by far. We have the greatest equipment, military equipment in the world by far. And you had to see this in real time. You had to see this, the professionalism and the bravery, everything about it. And you almost couldn't hold them back. It was like they wanted to go so badly. And most people would have said, I'll take a pass. I know that Charlie would have wanted to go because Charlie's a very brave person. But I know a lot of other people would have said, I think I'll pass on this one. Let's watch it on television. So it's been amazing to see how good they were, how professional they were, how incredible the equipment we have is. I mean, the level of equipment and to see how it worked so perfectly. And, you know, if you compare this to attacks on Iran over the years with, you know, helicopters crashing into each other, the whole thing was a mess. The Jimmy Carter situation, which was a mess. And every other situation compared to this, nobody's ever seen like this. Look, the Iranian attack, knocking out their nuclear power was big. We had peace in the Middle East, and we have it. Without that, you could never have peace in the Middle East. We knocked them out, and look what's happening now to Iran, but we knocked it out. That was, it could not have been better, and this could not have been better. I don't even know which is, these are both really important. If you think about equal and importance, I wonder how it's going to be rated, but knocking out the nuclear power of, think of it, they were ready, they were within 2 months, they would have been a nuclear power. And comparing that to this in a certain different way, I think this might have been actually more complex.
Well, it's
but
interesting.
That was something that was amazing.
It's interesting, Mr. President. We've looked, our own Lucas Tomlinson, our reporter here. I don't know if you knew this intentionally, but the capture of Maduro and his wife coincides with the 6th anniversary of your taking out the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's Qasem Soleimani. Interestingly, it's six years after. But let me ask you a question, Mr. President. Because
by the way, that was the third thing, and we have a fourth. We got Soleimani. We have taken out so many. Look at what we did to the leader of ISIS, who's no longer with us, right? And everybody was after for 20 years, and we got him. We've done a lot, but this was something, maybe because it's fresh in our minds, because again, the Iranian situation was so big, knocking that out, and the B-2 bomber, every single missile hit its target. And the target was an air shaft.
Right.
Dark at night. Think of that. Dark at night, no moon. You couldn't see a thing. And every missile went right through that air shaft and just obliterated the place. So that was amazing. And this was amazing.
I wonder, Mr. President, though, I want to ask you because from your Vice President, J.D. Vance, said that the message is pretty clear. The drug trafficking must stop. So was this operation a message that you're sending to Mexico, to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people. And we lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know. Yeah. But they come in through the southern border, and something's going to have to be done with Mexico.
So now you're hearing it here because Trump on Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. We could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No. She's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her number of times, okay, would you like us to take out the cartels? Yeah. Then he continues on and he says, something's going to have to be done with Mexico. That's literally what he said. And we just heard that right there. So I know Ali just sent that to me in an email. But again, he's literally saying something's got to stop. Something's got to give with Mexico. And if she's not willing to take out the cartels in Mexico, then so be it. I will. And that's some very interesting stuff that he's saying as well. We're still waiting on the press conference. He has not started. I told you guys he was not going to be on time. Ain't that the truth? Okay. And we're going to see how he does. I hope he doesn't take an hour and a half of him just talking, right? Hopefully he just gives us the information, gives us the facts, and gives us what's next after this strike that just happened, right? But let's continue. This is very wild stuff. We knew that this was going to happen. We knew that this was eventually going to happen. But I didn't know it was going to be airstrikes. I figured it would be like, boots on the ground more. Soldiers going on to, hitting landfall. But no, not like that at all. Airstrikes and then captured Maduro. So what is going to happen? I have a feeling there's going to be a regime change here very, very soon. That's what I think. But let's continue.
Why did you decide to do this morning?
Yeah, good question.
Are you
Why
talking
today?
about calling you people or the shot?
No, taking out.
I'm not sure which is worse. If you want to know the truth, I'm calling you. I haven't spoken to anybody else because Charlie Hurd has been a great friend of mine for a long time. He was with me when it was not fashionable, and those are the people I like. He was with me, Charlie, when it was not at all fashionable. So That's the reason I'm doing this. And your show is great. You're
I'm
doing a
very
great
grateful
job.
to
What
you.
a good team.
But
You have
I
a
meant,
great
why
team.
did you make the decision to take out Maduro this morning? And what was Maduro doing when our guys came in on him?
Bumping uglies. I'm kidding.
So we were going to do this 4 days ago, but the weather was not perfect. The weather has to be perfect. And we had just the perfect weather. We had, very good. A little bit few more clouds than we thought, but it was good. We waited 4 days. We were going to do this 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago. And then all of a sudden it opened up and we said, go. And I'll tell you, it was just amazing. And what was he doing? He was in a very highly guarded, like a fortress, actually. He was in a fortress. That we had nobody killed was amazing. I think we had nobody killed, I have to say, because a couple of guys were hit. But
He says, I think nobody lost their lives. Come on now.
they came back and they're supposed to be in pretty good shape. But that we had nobody killed, that we lost no aircraft. Everything came back. We got it all back. One of them was hit pretty hard, but a helicopter, but we got it back. But it just was the right time to do it. We had to do it because it's a war. We're losing 300,000 people a year. We don't lose that much in a war. Okay, if you look. And we had to do it. But he was in a house that was more like a fortress than a house. It had steel doors. It had what they call a safety space where it's, solid steel all around. He didn't get that space closed. He was trying to get into it, but he got bum rushed so fast that he didn't get into that. We were prepared. We had, massive blowtorches and everything else that you need to get through that steel, but we didn't need it. He didn't make it to that area of the house.
Mr. President, your war on narcoterrorism from our southern border and beyond clearly will save American lives. Moving forward for Venezuela, what do you think is next for the Venezuelan people now that you have removed Maduro so that he can face American justice?
Well, we're making that decision now. We can't take a chance on letting somebody else run and just take over where he left off. So we're making that decision now. We'll be involved in it very much.
And then, isn't that interesting? It's not like, okay, we're gonna let their own government deal with it themselves. No, we're gonna make that decision for them. No, there's no way that they're gonna make that decision by themselves. Hell no. We're gonna be overseeing the entire situation, what they decide, who they decide to have as the leader, as the president of that country. Ain't that interesting? Let's continue, but that's interesting, don't you think?
And we want to do liberty for the people. We want to, have a great relationship. I think the people of Venezuela are very, very happy because they love the United States. They were run by essentially a dictatorship or worse. It couldn't have been worse. It was a terrible thing that was taking place in Venezuela. But look, tremendous numbers of people were being killed through drugs. And what they did to our country in sending prisoners and people from mental institutions and drug lords and everything, they sent them by the hundreds of thousands of people into our country. And that is just unforgivable. That's why, he wanted to negotiate at the end, and I didn't want to negotiate. I said, nope, we got to do it. He was trying to negotiate at the end. You probably saw that. And trying hard to make a deal. And I said, and, this could have been a very foolish thing if it didn't work out. But I said, nope, we can't do it. What he did with drugs is bad. What he did with a lot of other things is bad. But what he did was sending hundreds of thousands of Tren de Aragua and drug dealers. And they emptied out their jails into our country. They emptied out, if you think about it, they emptied out all of their mental institutions into our country. What he did there, and every other thing, is unforgivable.
Mr. President, you're already getting reaction from members of Congress on both sides. One Democrat, Jim McGovern, is saying that you did not get authorization from Congress. And he says Trump just launched an unjustified illegal strike on Venezuela. Wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, look, these are weak, stupid people. And they're trying to save themselves from almost destroying our country. If I didn't get elected, our country would not. I don't even think we'd have a country right now. We were heading down the path of destruction. We had inflation. We had high prices. They're the ones that caused high prices, not us. We're bringing the prices way down. We have oil now in many places $1.99 a gallon. And,
What?
you know, when you do oil, everything follows, but everything is following. But
Hold on. Is someone please just put your a hand emoji up and let me know. I actually hit the number 1 and let me know if $1.99 is actually happening in your neck of the woods. Are you getting $1.99 in gas in your neck of the woods? And if you are, hit the number 1 in the chat. I need to see this because I don't believe that. I ain't seen $1.99 ever. So let me know. Hit the number 1 if you are that person.
no, they would have destroyed our country. If we didn't get elected, if Kamala or a Joe type got elected, if that group got elected, but if Kamala got elected, I don't think at this point we would even have a country. We were laughed at all over the world. The money was flowing out. Everybody was leaving. The companies were leaving. The people were leaving. The wealth was leaving. We have $18 trillion coming back into our country, the biggest number in the history of the world. The second biggest number was $3 trillion. We're at $18 trillion, and it's building factories and plants. It's doing things that no country has ever seen before. But as far as last night is concerned, it was really genius. What they did is genius. And the Democrats, maybe they'll take a shot. You know, they'll take a shot. All they do is complain. They don't talk about, they should say, you know what, we did a great job. We're stopping drugs from coming into this country. And nobody's been able to do it until we came along. But they should say, great job. They shouldn't say, oh, gee, maybe it's not constitutional. You know, the same old stuff that we've been hearing for years and years and years. They did an incredible job. These men and women that went out there last night, the courage they had, going into an area where, you know, all the lights were turned off. We turned off almost all of the lights in Caracas. I mean, this thing was so organized. And they go into a dark space with machine guns facing them all over the place. And then you hear from a guy that I'd never even heard of him, but you hear from some congressman saying, oh, this is so terrible. We're saving lives. And by the way, the boats, every boat, because that's sort of related to this, every boat that we hit saves 25,000 lives.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get any hosannas or thanks from certain Democrats in Congress, that's for sure. But one of the things, you've already obviously cracked down on these drug boats. You've also cracked down on these illegal oil shipments coming out of Venezuela. The countries that negotiate with Venezuela for that illegal oil are already starting to suffer. What do you see as the future of Venezuela's oil industry?
Well, I see that we're going to be very strongly involved in it. That's all. I mean, what can I say? We have the greatest oil companies in the world, the biggest, the greatest, and we're going to be very much involved in it. We can't do something like this, and we're prepared. You know, we were prepared to do a second wave. We were all set, and this was so lethal. This was so powerful that we didn't have to, but we're prepared. We're out there with an armada like nobody's ever seen before, and we're prepared. And we're prepared, and frankly, probably thought we were going to have to do it, but we were prepared for a second wave going in.
Mr. President, sorry, Nicole, can I just follow up on one thing? And that was when part of Vice President Vance's tweet about an hour ago said that you offered several off-ramps to Maduro that he didn't take. What did those off-ramps look like?
Well, basically, I said, you have to give up. You have to surrender. And he was close. But in the end, I really didn't. We had to do something that was really much more surgical, much more powerful. This was much more powerful than anything we could have done. This is amazing. And we learned a lot going into. We learned a lot of things. But this was a very important symbol. And I had discussions. I actually spoke to him myself, but I said, you have to give up. You have to surrender.
When did you speak to him?
He was not willing. A week ago. A couple of times, but a week ago.
Mr. President, this is clearly a signature moment for your administration, this military strike, the capture of Maduro.
We've had a lot of signature moments, if you really think
It
about it.
certainly was. Let's add it to the list, one of the signature moments. But what do you say to the people waking up to this news this morning who are concerned that these actions may result in prolonged involvement of U.S. military in Venezuela?
Well, first of all, I say that what we're doing is saving lives because the drug trafficking is so bad. It's gotten so out of control. And, when you think 97% of the drugs coming in by sea, by ocean, by waterway, 97% down. It's almost nothing left. You don't see ships. You don't see anybody. You see very few ships coming in loaded up with, hundreds of bags of fentanyl, cocaine, and everything else you can imagine. It's virtually stopped. And we'll stop it on land. And this was one of the things that we did to stop it on land. We had to do this. In order to stop it on land, this was a part of it. There are other parts and there are other areas, frankly. But what they did is really amazing. And I think it sends a signal. We're not going to be pushed around as a country anymore by these countries where we want to be politically correct all the time. They're killing our people. If we had a war, if you lost 300,000 people, in the Civil War, we lost 600,000 people. We lose 300,000 people a year to drugs. And we're not going to allow it anymore with any country.
You said that you were prepared for a second wave, and I assume that you still are. But what does the future look like for the Maduro loyalists who are still in Caracas and I assume have not yet fled or been removed?
Well, if they stay loyal, the future is really bad. Really bad for them. If they convert, there's a conversion factor. I would say most of them have converted. He's had very little loyalty. In fact, I noticed that today that some people are marching on the street waving flags, and they're very in support. They have American flags being waved on the streets. So, I mean, I think he's got very little support. Look, he was a dictator that the people hated. So I don't see a lot of that. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that.
Well, will you, Mr. President, throw your support behind opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who, as you recall, won the Nobel Peace Prize and then in turn dedicated it to you for your efforts in pressuring Maduro? Are you going to fully support her to take over to run the country?
Well, we're going to have to look at it. Right now, they have a vice president, as you know. I mean, I don't know about what kind of an election that was, but, the election of Maduro was a disgrace, just like my election was a disgrace. 2020 was a disgrace.
Oh, here we go.
And, a real disgrace. Now, 2024 was too big to rig. But what he did was, his was open. I would say, frankly, you want to know the truth? I think Charlie would testify this. It wasn't a hell of a lot worse than what they did to us in 2020. It was our election was a disgrace in 2020, and everyone knows it. And now it's come out, and it's come out even in the legal form. But it was disgraceful. He had an election that was a rigged election, and the people have no love for him. That's for sure. He had very little loyalty, if any loyalty. He was a dictator who was a tough cookie, and he ran it tough. And the people can't believe they got so lucky.
Mr. President, what do you make of the fact that just hours before the airstrike, there was a Chinese delegation meeting with Nicolas Maduro, and we have yet to hear from China any sort of comment on the attacks?
I know nothing about that, but I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and there's not going to be a problem. And they're going to get oil. We're going to allow people to have oil. But we can't take a chance after having done this incredible thing last night of letting somebody else take over, where we have to do it again. We can do it again, too. Nobody can stop us. There's nobody that has the capability that we have. When I watch that war in Russia going on and on and on, and everybody dying, and it's like, it's primitive. It's primitive. It's horrible. It's
Could
really horrible.
you tell Could you tell us, Mr. President, a little bit more? Because you're talking about the precision of this operation and the brave men and women. Was this Delta Force guys? Were this Navy SEALs?
These
Could you talk a
people
little
are
bit
the
more
most,
about that?
yeah, they're the most highly trained soldiers in the world. There's nobody that has their talent, because it's talent. It's not just bravery. It's bravery. You have to have the bravery, but it's talent. Nobody has talent like this, and nobody has equipment like we have. I mean, everything was pinpoint. They had everything. They practiced. They actually built a house which was identical to the one they went into, with all the safes and all the steel all over the place, and at the top of stairways and room.
It was Delta Force, sir?
I don't want to say, but I will say this. I'm having a news conference in just a little while, so therefore I'm going to have to get off this line pretty soon, but I'm having a news conference at 11. And we're going to be talking about it. And I will say that I'm very proud to be an American.
As are we, Mr. President. Will we be hearing from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth about what went into the planning and the execution of this incredible operation?
Yes, and General Kane and some other people, they'll be telling you things that we can't tell you. We're not going to say everything, because we have things that nobody even knows about. Nobody has even a clue about. And we don't want to talk about that, and there's no reason to, but you'll be seeing a lot of things. So we're going to have a pretty open news conference, and we have to make sure that Venezuela doesn't go bad again. It went bad. It was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's horrible. Remember, I used to say that if they get elected, the other side, the people that we're talking about, if they get elected in our country, it will be Venezuela on steroids. Do you remember that? I used to say that all the time, Charlie, right?
Indeed.
We would have been Venezuela on steroids, meaning we would have been a bigger version of Venezuela. But the end result, we would have been a failed nation. Had they gotten elected, we would have been a failed nation. So I'll get ready for a news conference.
Real quickly before we let you go, though, can you tell us where Maduro and his wife are right this second?
Well, they'll be heading to New York. They were indicted in New York, and also.
So are they taken to a ship first, and then?
Yes, the Iwo Jima. They were on a ship, but they'll be heading into New York. The helicopters took them out, and they went by helicopter in a nice flight. I'm sure they loved it. But they've killed a lot of people. Remember that they killed a lot of people, and
a lot of Americans.
Even people in their own country. They killed a lot of people to maintain power. He's a very vicious person.
Well, President Trump, I'm incredibly grateful to you for coming on this morning. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. We know that you've got a lot on your plate these days, but we're very appreciative, and we look forward to your press conference at 11.
Well, remember one thing: our country now, it's not because of this, but long before this, almost from the time I took office, it's gone so fast. Our country is hotter than it's ever been before. And we had a dead country a year and a half ago. We had a dead country. This country was dead with Biden and with that group of people. And if we had that group extended through Kamala, this country would have been dead. But we had a dead country.
She was the border czar.
Well, now look at the border. We have nobody coming in through the border anymore. Look at that. So, that's right. The border czar. She was our border czar. She would have been worse as a president than she was as a border czar. So anyway, which is pretty bad. Have a good time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh. We got some images we got to take a look at here while we wait. We are still waiting for the press conference. Like I said, it wasn't going to be on time. That's usually how it goes. They don't usually start these press conferences on time, but we do have some first images being seen that have been put out online of first off showing, if this is 100%, nowadays you can't really trust the craziness that's going on here. But as far as like AI and whatnot, but here's some first images of him actually getting, he's detained. Take a look at this. This is crazy, right? We're still waiting on the press conference. I'm assuming will be happening fairly soon? Question mark. Okay. Hopefully soon, because, you know, I got prior engagements and stuff today too. So hopefully the press conference will be happening very, very soon. But nonetheless, look at this. First images of Maduro, which is very interesting. Take a look at this one too. There he is. Now, I don't know if this is 100% really, you know what I mean? Like, Trump actually put up, just so you know, Trump actually posted this photo. Trump posted this photo on his Truth Social account, just so you know. And then, of course, this photo has been recently posted as well a few hours ago. So again, I'm like, I don't know if that's AI. It could be AI, but nonetheless, I'm just showing you guys some of the images that have been put out here. You know, we just got to take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt, which I hate. With AI now, you just never know. You know what I mean? You just never know. But one thing is for sure, yeah, it could be AI, that last one. But this one is something that Trump allegedly was posting on his Truth Social, just so you guys know. In fact, let me make sure I can get that. Hold on. But take a look at that. I'm just going to make sure. One second, guys. Yep. Just want to show this to you so you guys can see it. Truth Social post by Trump himself saying Nicolas Maduro, on board the U.S. Iwo Jima. Yes. So that is some wild stuff. Okay. Here's some other things that I just learned as well. Now, first off, there's been a lot of pushback bouncing back and forth on whether or not Trump has not gone to the podium yet, but I will pull that up so you guys can see that as well as we all wait for him to show up. But you can take a look for yourselves as I try to explain this piece here as well. All right. As we wait, because we are waiting for this press conference. But apparently, when it comes to whether he was kidnapped or actually captured, is all about the declaration of war. There has not been a declaration of war on Venezuela. So a lot of people are out here saying that Maduro was actually kidnapped and not actually captured, because America or Venezuela has not literally made or declared war on each other. So this is something very interesting, right? So this usually takes place during a declared war or recognized armed conflict between states or organized armed groups under international humanitarian law, also known as the laws of war or the Geneva Conventions. Capturing enemy combatants and high-ranking officials is a legal act of war. So that's interesting. But then I saw something else that I want to read off camera here too, or off screen, because I actually typed it into Google saying, like, is this considered a capture or is this considered a kidnapping, right? And some places are saying that there is apparently with Maduro, legally, the U.S. did not kidnap a head of state. Since 2019, the Department of Justice has classified Maduro not as a president, but as a private citizen leading a narco-terrorist organization. Therefore, he holds no diplomatic immunity in U.S. eyes. So solely because he was classified as not a president, but as a private citizen, and of course, leading a narco-terror organization, they can take him in. Isn't that interesting? there's this weird, strange loophole that they're able to jump through to capture this mother lover, not kidnap him. Interesting, right? Interesting, don't you think? So, again, for all y'all that are out here going, he was kidnapped, this is illegal, so on and so forth, now we're hearing something completely different. Now we're seeing something completely different. So again, guys, like I just showed you guys a second ago, a photo, the literal photo of Trump actually sharing on his Truth Social, him getting captured after the raids. They're saying that there is a loophole for those of us that are looking at it and going, wait a second, he was kidnapped, and that this is some sort of this is breaking some sort of law. They may be leaning on the fact that he was declared a narco-terrorist. And that's the reason why they're able to go in there, strike, grab him, and capture him and not kidnap him. So that's something that's very, very interesting, right? But as we wait, I know that there's a lot of footage of people across Venezuela celebrating that this particular dictator has been taken in, which I think is very interesting. Damn, that's loud. But people are rejoicing. There are people out here going, yeah, he gone. Right? Pretty interesting stuff. Pretty interesting stuff, guys. Okay. Press conference has started. Time to rock and roll. Press conference has started. Press conference has started. Breaking news.
The capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military successfully captured capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was.
Hold on, I'm pausing that. Hold on. I got a better sounding press conference. Hold on, guys. Might get a little loud here in a second. Rock with me, okay? Thank you very much.
It was dark and it was deadly, but captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, it's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence.
You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position, but they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years.
Control.
So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over in particular the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana. And we have done that. And it was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster and the mayor was a disaster, but it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there. When they need us, we'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people. And now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst, they say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons, a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and sold American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, so we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries. And not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines. And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal. But we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Monroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs they've made our country rich, and they've made our national security stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power. And we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation this morning. It's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him. And I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Here we go.
Mr. President, can you explain how the U.S. will run Venezuela?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America. And again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve, the most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out. President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people. This is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026. And under President Trump, America is back. I'd like to welcome now our chairman, Chairman Raising Cane, to give a few more details about the operation. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. Last night, on the order of the President of the United States and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, as the President said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations. While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force, with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of experience in hunting terrorists. And we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise, it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. In early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel. So as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings. But when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49. And there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area.
He's tired.
The goal of our air component was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable. And as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Uejima. In closing, What we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world. I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning, our forces remain in the region at a high state of readiness, prepared to project power, defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Trump about to fall asleep, babies.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
Make sure.
yeah, exactly. But
Don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy, but instead he wanted to play big boy. And so now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think that the message here should be for the world. Look, the president doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that, I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Is that a message for Cuba? Mr. President.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Okay,
Mr. President, you said that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela. So who's in power right now?
Yeah.
But we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
Mr. President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it, but we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. They stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Are you explaining the exact mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's all being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
That would run Venezuela?
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time, the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead, I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world. And it required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Rubio would be...
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship going?
I understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is about that.
Well, he has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Mr. President, did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved.
Sure. We call members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Plus, if I could add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, We had a lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
Mr. President, you were one of the only people to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. it could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. You know what a safe place is, all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. You know, people were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today. But he was trying to get to a safe place, which wasn't safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47 seconds, they say on average, regardless of how thick the steel was. It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it. Go ahead, finish.
Where is Maduro going to be in the time being right now? Do you know his exact
Well,
whereabouts?
eventually, ultimately, in the near future, he's going to be brought to New York.
And where is he going to be held? Where is he going to be held in New York? Do you know?
That's going to be up to the officials that do these things.
Mr. President, the U.S. has something of a mixed track record of ousting dictators without necessarily a plan for what comes afterwards.
Not with
Did
me,
that
though.
weigh on your decision?
Well, that's why we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me, we've had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot, and we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If we weren't successful with Midnight Hammer, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. So with me, you've had a lot of victory. You've had only victories. You've had no losses. Yeah.
President, how long do you expect the U.S. to run Venezuela, and how soon do you want Venezuelan people to hold elections?
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. You know, we're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. It's actually very dangerous. It's blow up territory. Oil is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to take out of the ground. Can kill a lot of people. It has killed a lot of people doing just that. The infrastructure is old. It's rotted. Much of it is stuff that we put there 25 years ago, and we're going to be replacing it. And we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country. Yeah.
Are you saying that Secretary Rubio and
Mr. President, China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them when it comes to the oil and the drugs?
And Russia, Russia, when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it to them. In other words, we'll be selling oil probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries, many of whom are using it now, but I would say many more will come.
Are you saying that, Mr. President, are you saying that?
Mr. President, thank you. What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course, the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of Venezuela?
That you're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time. It was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace, and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country, and they destroyed it. Remember, I said that if we lose this election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened. Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly. When you look at the border from 2020, what they did, what Joe Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten. But if we had to go through another year of that, we would be exactly where Venezuela was in terms. I used to say, if they win, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids, and that's what would have happened.
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military
They're
troops
going to
to
be a
provide?
team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro. And right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. we're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars
He's
and take
saying it
out
right
money,
out
use
loud.
that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough, the people that got thrown out of Venezuela that are now in the United States, and frankly, some want to stay and some probably want to go back. Yeah.
What's being done to protect Americans in the country, and were any of the detained Americans?
Well, right now they're
arrested
very
last night?
protected because nobody's going to mess with us. They're very protected. The people of, and we let them know that you better not touch one of them.
Are you concerned that bad elements of the Maduro regime will remain in place?
Well, we know who they are. We're on them, and they're acting much differently now than they would have acted 2 days ago. Okay, wait, behind you, please.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it. Yes, sir. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, is there a message here for Cuba and Diaz-Canel?
Well, Cuba is an interesting case. Cuba is, not doing very well right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years.
Thank you.
And I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation. And we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. Suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile, but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they were, all of the guards that helped protect Maduro, this is well known, their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba. They tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit. Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned, it's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's a pre-existing.
Mr. President.
The answer is yes. Yes.
Aware of the location of opposition leader Machado, and have you been in contact with her?
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President, Mr. President, on Monday.
Oh, I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
Mr. President, is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial. So it's not going to cost us anything. We want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world. That's what was happening. And you don't want to have that. But we're going to be rebuilding and we're not spending money. The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries. And we also have to have energy. Very important. We have to have energy that's real energy, not where they're getting 4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look. It was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year is going to be a great thing. And the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
Mr. President,
going to send in the U.S. military.
Mr. President, thank you. What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is the
Well,
US
I don't want to get
at war
into
with
the
Venezuela?
conversations, but I did have conversations with him. And I said, you got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but Now he wished he did. Yeah.
You said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are
Well,
different? And would you ever pardon Maduro?
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
You referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that country?
No, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country. So I want to thank you all very much. Thank you. Do you have one? Yes, please. You were so nice before. I'm going to give you the final question. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Mr.
Unless
President.
it's a bad question, in
It's
which
about
case I'll
Putin.
go one word. It's about who?
It's about Putin, if you want.
About Putin. Well, that's
Okay.
always nice
You had
to
a
talk
phone-
about Putin.
You had a phone call with him
Yeah.
on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't.
And
We
then-
never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not
intelligence.
thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people.
There was that
I
intelligence.
thought that would be so. I settled 8 1/4 war. You know what the 1/4 was? Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about 5 hours, and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1/4, so I'm up to now 8 1/4. In other words, I settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace. So I only give 1/4. I thought the easiest one would be, one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine. It's not. And they both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the lives. Did you see where last month, 30,000, it was 27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2, now they pay 5. And we send them a lot of munitions. We send them a lot of things, missiles and various other things, a lot. And they pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that. It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those people. We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings that come from 2 places that are very far away. People, we're losing. But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess. It's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young people, in addition to the fact that people are being killed in Kiev, people are being killed in other cities throughout, a much smaller number, but they're being killed, viciously killed. So I'm not happy about it. I thought that would be something that would get solved. We have Mr. Witkoff here. I think that we're making progress, but that's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, it would have never happened. Putin says it. Everybody says it. If I were president, that would have never happened. But I inherited that war. That was Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Putin. I came into the situation, and it's a mess. And I will say this. I watched an operation last night that was so precise, that was so brilliant. I mean, it was incredible. If we had our people, like this general and our people involved, that war That war would not have gone on very long, that I can tell you. That war, to use an old term, that war has become a bloodbath, and we want it to get stopped. Thank you very much.
Are you concerned a rogue Venezuelan general can take over the country?
Can you talk about your conversation with the Vice President?
There's President Trump leaving after discussing the military operation in Venezuela. President Trump says the United States will take over Venezuela for the time being until they believe that there is a group who is capable of running the country. We'll have plenty more on Fox 4 News.
Okay, guys. Woo! Now that was interesting, don't you think? They said the quiet part out loud. They literally said the whole thing near the end. Not only were they like, well, we might start things with Cuba, we might start things with this place, we might start things with other places, but they also said, yes, oil, oil. That's all they were talking about. That's all they give a damn about. That's what they give a damn about. It's about the oil, y'all. That's it. That's it. It has nothing to do with the Fenty and the yayo being brought into the country. That's just the red herring. That is just what they say in the very beginning. That's what they were saying out here so that we can believe that and go, oh, damn right, he's proud to be an American, right? But in actuality, he's like, no, it's about the oil. And we're going to regulate that stuff and we're going to sell it back to them. Ain't that insane? He said, I'm going to cut out the middleman and we are going to be the only supplier. And therefore, we are going to give it back. We're going to sell it back to the country. So in other words, the U.S. is going to make money off of the oil that the country Venezuela actually has. Come on, y'all. Come on. I know some of y'all are like, damn right, Trump, do your thing. Some of you guys are applauding this. By all means, applaud all you want. It's fine. Okay, it is what it is. He did what he wanted to do, and he did it successfully. There is going to be a full-on regime change now. And the thing is that now this is going to be American territory now for the foreseeable future until they decide to relinquish the country back into the hands of the Venezuelan people. Think about this. Yes, people are out there in Venezuela rejoicing. Absolutely. If you have a tyrannical piece of trash butthole leader, yeah, you're going to have people celebrating for sure. But they don't know what's coming. They don't know what could possibly be coming. Let me just say that, because we don't know what Trump is going to do. Let's be real. We don't know if he's going to riddle that place, suck the very essence of all the riches, minerals, oil out of that place, suck it dry, and then just hand over the keys to the car and go, hey, here you guys go. And it already has like 200,000 miles on it, and it's been ran through. That is a possibility here. America will go in. They will run this place. They will say what is good and what is not. They will, of course, eventually hand over the keys to the country to somebody else. But in the meantime, they're going to want to make sure that they can suck every resource out of that country as quickly and as efficiently as possible so that they can stack up on the bread. And then in the meantime, they're going to try to find some sort of sycophantic, bootlicking individual that will bend at America's will to run the country. They're going to make sure that person is particularly vetted, properly vetted before they hand over the keys to the castle to that particular person running the actual country. Let's not forget, too, he even said, oh, yeah, let's not forget that the person who is vice president of the country would most likely step up and take over Maduro's spot. But he said, I don't like that idea because Maduro elected, he chose this particular running mate as vice president. So this particular vice president should not be trusted either. So you already know what that means. That means that they're going to do a thorough cleansing of the entire system, government system over there. And they're going to make sure that every single person that is elected or put into specific spots and slots and jobs in the government are bending at Trump's will. You got to remember, let's be real. We just heard even the head of military talking about everything, and he's just stroking Trump off in the corner. Real talk. He's giving us a lot of like technical military jargon that a lot of us are like, what? We went in Alpha 1769, and then we went over here and we did the Hakeem Olajuwon, and then we came down and we descended upon them with the Nicki Minaj, and we're like, yeah, okay, good job. We don't know what the F that means, but okay, cool. But the entire time he's like, without him, it's just, without Trump, just jerking it off. Okay, I'm sorry. Stroke game strong with all these guys, right? Let's not forget Pete Hegseth. F around and find out. Just so you know, you F around, you're going to find out. Okay? We came in with the best and brightest. Like he's literally, I swear to God, it's like he watched Game of Thrones before he went up on the podium, These are strong soldiers, best warriors in the world, right? Very weird. Very much like, Braveheart, right? They'll take our land, but they'll never take our freedom, right? But I'm just expecting like war paint, him on a horse, just Mel Gibson-ing through this whole thing. But no, he's just up there, just saying his thing as he usually does. And it's always so damn intense. F around. If you F around, you're going to find out. When was the last time anyone said that in a presidential presser? Ever in the history of ever? We live in some weird, crazy ass times, okay? But it definitely pricked up our ears now, didn't it? We're all like, what did he just say? Did he just say F around and find out? Okay, we hear now. This is exactly what our life is now. Okay, we are in this time where everything's a mother-loving meme. That's all it is. Real talk. So here's the thing, guys. For those of y'all who are celebrating this move, okay, we get more oil. Does that mean oil is going to, does it mean that the price of gas, the price of whatever, is it going to be better for our economy? Hopefully it does. But at the same time, what they're doing, some will see as corrupt. Some will look at this and say, this is totally jacked up. Real talk. Some will look at this and go, nah, I don't agree with this. This is wrong. I leave that question up to you. Now, I have a poll pinned to the top of the chat, and I asked you guys, do you agree with this attack on Venezuela or not? But if you really think about it, he said, I just want to repeat this one more time. I might repeat it 15 times. I don't care. It's my show. But here's the thing. I love you guys. Seriously. But here's the thing. He did say the quiet part out loud. All of it is about oil. All of it. He doesn't care about anything else. Clearly taking over Venezuela's regime, over their government. Now they have control over the oil. What did he say during his speech? He said out loud, We built this infrastructure for the oil, and then they just kind of kicked us out, and we're totally screwed. We're screwed. They screwed us over, so we came back. This has nothing to do with substances. This has nothing to do with that yayo. that white girl, that snow, that cocaine, has nothing to do with that. Has everything to do with that liquid gold, baby. Has everything to do with it. So what did he say? We're going to be pumping oil like it's never been seen before. Because they've been doing it wrong, right? So we're going to pump more oil out of that infrastructure that they have in Venezuela. And we're going to really suck. We are literally going to suck the nectar, all of its resources. We're going to suck it out as best as we can. And then we're going to sell it back to the people. We've heard this before, haven't we? In many other cases before. But now we're seeing it at an all-time, at a larger scale. Right? Ain't that wild? We're going to go in there. We're going to infiltrate. We're going to take their resources and we're going to sell it right back to them. But they won't know the difference, baby. But this one, we will know. They will know the difference. But they will sell it back to the people that it should rightfully be theirs because it's in Venezuela. It's their resources, not America's. But because we helped build the infrastructure, and apparently we got bumped out by Venezuela, by the Venezuelan government, this is why there's a vendetta that needs to be paid. This is why there's a grudge. It has nothing to do with fentanyl. But like I said, we've seen this in music, right? It's like, oh yeah, we're going to take the music and we're going to sell it right back to the people that actually invented it and created it, right? We've seen this in other situations a billion times, but this time it is at a grander scale. Now it's liquid gold. And you know how it is. We live in a world where the oil is everything. This is exactly why I said in the very beginning of the show, why they're looking at Nigeria. Has nothing to do with Nicki Minaj sitting there going, yes, and so what they're doing to the Christians in Nigeria is just savage. Has nothing to do with Nicki Minaj and the Christianity thing. Has nothing to do with persecution of those that are Christian in Nigeria. No, they made something up. They looked at something that does exist and they augmented that to a whole other level of the likes you've never seen before, to the point where they said, everyone's like, how dare they go after Christians, good Christian people in Nigeria? When in actuality, they're looking at the riches, the minerals, the things that that country, that land has, and it is supple with riches in minerals and whatnot. That's why we're looking. That's why America, not me, I'm not sitting there going, bomb Nigeria. No. But, you know, this is the reason why America is going after Nigeria right now. It has nothing to do with persecution of Christians in that country. They're just leaning on that as a crutch, as a red herring, as a fugazi, as a Kansas City shuffle. So we're all looking and thinking, oh, yeah, they're trying to stop this stuff from happening over there. But in all actuality, they're trying to get the riches that are coming from that actual country. Think about it for a second, guys. Now, let's not forget. Let's think about this, too. They also said Cuba. They're talking about Cuba? Cuba now it's in the conversation. So now they're going to be going, now they're talking about Narco Rubio. Sorry. I had to say it at least once. But Marco Rubio himself even said, oh, yeah, you know, well, we ain't really here to talk about that. But yeah, this thing's going on in Cuba. I know he doesn't sound like he doesn't sound like a brother, but you know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, well, we haven't really, I mean, that is something we should be looking at. We should talk about that for real. But in actuality, he's like, I ain't never thought about Cuba. I've been thinking about Mexico, Colombia. And I still want to know why Mexico, of all things, out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. That makes no sense. except to stop people from going over the border, which apparently they said they've stopped that at what, 100% or something crazy like that? So why go after Mexico unless there's something else that Mexico has that they want? Yes, they will sit there and talk about cartels. Absolutely. And those cartels are absolutely vicious and terrible. But at the same time, they're using that as a crutch to lean on. But they're actually looking for something else. You think that they're putting millions, billions of dollars worth of military, soldiers, military equipment, etc., to go down to the likes of Venezuela or any other place, Mexico, even Cuba, Colombia. If they're going after all those spots, you really think they're going to pour all that money into it for just little boats? No, there's something bigger going on, guys, which he said out loud. It's the oil. Just reminds me way back, okay? This makes me think all the way back in the 90s. George W. was out there. They're going out to Afghanistan. They're going out to the Middle East. They're doing all these things, right? Was it really in retaliation for what had happened on 9/11? Or was it for something bigger? I tell you what, it was something bigger, even though 9/11 was huge. But they're like, we're going to get those evildoers. Fool me once, can't fool me again. You fool me, you can't fool me again, right? But in actuality, he was fooling all of us. Because who's the person who actually took and got bin Laden? It wasn't during George W.'s time. And you'd think that he would have gotten him during his term. But it didn't happen, now did it? Why were they over there? Oh, and let's not forget poppy seeds. I'm saying it out loud, guys. I don't care. That's old news. Poppy seeds, old. So now the new focus is going on down south. Way down south, right? I think it's way down Sally or something like that. But you know what I mean. Venezuela now. Oil. And he said it out loud. We're going to pump more oil out of that place. He said, we're first going to take over the country. He's gone. We did not kidnap anyone. We named him a narco terrorist years ago. He was a citizen. He was a citizen of the world. He was not the president at that time. Hell no. So we did not do or break any laws. He was a citizen and he was already named a narco terrorist years ago. That's what we heard from Marco Rubio. He made that abundantly clear. So they captured him. And now they're taking over the entire government and they're going to oversee the production or the pulling of oil out of that country. And then they're going to sell it. And when they get what they want, or they feel that they have enough security set around that oil, and they have an infrastructure of a government that is basically bowing at America's will, that's when they'll relinquish or loosen their grip on Venezuela. But it'll only happen when that happens. Wait for it. Wait for it, because it's exactly what's going to go down. And you're going to hear a lot more of our best and brightest. Our ladies, our men and women that fight for our country. You're going to be hearing a lot of them getting deployed out to Venezuela. For what reasons? Security. That's basically it. Security reasons. As we start to move into the country and start to get more comfortable, we're going to see our men and women who protect this country, who fight for this country, being deployed out to Venezuela. Get ready for it. It's going to happen. God knows how long this regime, this takeover is going to be for, but I have a feeling it's going to be for a while. Could be a whole time that Trump's in office until we suck every last resource out of that country. And then they're going to be bleeding over to Colombia because they've already been looking at Colombia. What for? Maybe there's something else going on. And they're talking about Mexico as well. They just want to go after everybody in the south of the border. It's insane. So we'll see what happens here. But yes, they will. Yes, I'll just say I agree. It will be a matter of the people who are Trumpers. Because you know how it is. Trump loves being stroked off. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. He loves to get stroked. So he needs those kind of people that will sit there and go, as you wish. R.I.P. Rob Reiner. But you get what I'm saying. Okay? So, this is going to be very interesting. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Nigeria. And I'm also interested to see what happens with Colombia and, of course, now Mexico. See, one thing that's very interesting, I want to say this too. If you look at Hispaniola, and if you don't know the island of Hispaniola, which I mean is it is Haiti and the Dominican Republic. What happened is if you look at both sides of the country of that island, one side is plush, vibrant, green and lush, nothing but vegetation and beauty. That is on the side of the Dominican Republic. But then you look at Haiti, and Haiti is basically stripped of all of its natural resources. Why? Other countries came in and they sucked the very marrow of that side of that actual island, depleting that beautiful country, which is still a beautiful country, but depleting that beautiful country of all of its natural resources. That's why you see this country that is just riddled, third world. But then right next door, literally right adjacent to Haiti, you have Dominican Republic. They did not get screwed over in the way that Haiti did. Their natural resources still remain the same. Place is beautiful, lush, vegetation, green. People fly into that place to turn their minds off and maybe run after some beautiful Dominican Republic ladies, right? But other than that, place is still overflowing with its natural resources. This is what I fear for the likes of Venezuela. America comes in, they suck the very marrow of that country, take all of its natural resources, and be out. That's the one thing I worry about. Like I said, the people that are out there rejoicing, great. A tyrant is out of office. He is gone. He is looking at some serious crimes, and may he be locked up for good. But here's the thing. Who's taking over the country? And how screwed over is there a possibility that the people of that country are going to be screwed over? That's what I'm concerned about. That's the one thing I'm concerned about. And that's with any country. This is if America does it to another country, or a powerful country goes into another country and does the same damn thing. That's the one thing I worry about. I see it with Haiti. It's not like I saw it in real time, okay? But this was something that did happen to that country. That's one thing I worry about. This makes me think of the first Avatar movie. I know that sounds weird, but remember that movie Avatar, the first one? I mean, the first one was fire. The second one was trash. I'm not even wasting my time with the third, but here's the thing. Remember that movie? They were looking for this unobtainium thing, like this type of resource, this mineral that they wanted, right? So the world came into that world, trying to trying to suck the very marrow of natural resources out of that world, right? The tree is a perfect example. Yes, Trey the Great, exactly, right? So again, that was a whole-on metaphor for what has been done in other countries. Other countries getting completely sucked up, destroyed, because countries like America and others have gone over to neighboring countries or whatever and took everything that they had and left them with basically bones. Just something to think about, guys. Just something to think about. Avatar is a perfect example of what could possibly happen. I mean, there's no romance story, and Venezuelans are not blue, but you get what I'm saying. They're not like 10 feet tall and living out of a mother-loving tree, but you get the metaphor, okay? You get the metaphor. That's what I'm concerned about, okay? But all of this has to do with oil, all of it. So let me get some of these super chats here really quick. All right. I appreciate you guys for being here. It means a lot. Maggie, thank you so much for the love. The Colombian president is calling the ONU and saying that this is an illegal invasion. That's wild. That is wild. But you heard from Marco Rubio. He said himself that this is not, and we talked about that in the very beginning of the show, before this press conference. There is a loophole that they're trying to jump through, and basically saying that he was already called a narco terrorist before they actually caught him. And he was named this for a while. So that turned him into a citizen of the world instead of him being the president of this country. Yet he still was the president of the country no matter what. But anyway, they're trying to say that what they did is legal. But I know that there's a lot of people pushing back and saying that it is illegal. We'll see how that transpires, right? But thank you so much for that information. Maggie, again, thank you so much. Want to know something else? All American troops are stationed in the Roosevelt Road base in Puerto Rico. And right now, all airspace in Puerto Rico is shut down. Not commercial planes in or out. We are invaded too. So you are in Puerto Rico, Maggie? That's insane if that's the case. That's insane. Helen, thank you so much for gifting a membership. And welcome to the family, whoever became a member. Of course, Stewie, the puppy, thank you so much for becoming a member as well. Welcome to the family. Welcome. General Genobi, what's up, man? How you doing? I see lots of service members and spouses complaining. Can't complain now when you cheered for that 776. Now they must show their loyalty. Ain't that interesting, right? I mean, the plot is going to continue to thicken. And yes, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be very upset because there will be more troops and more soldiers deployed to Venezuela. That's families being ripped apart because they have to go down there to protect, oversee, and make sure that this transition is smooth and goes on without a hitch. So we'll see what happens. Ruby, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. I love how it's 2026. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Happy New Year, Pascal. Happy New Year to you too. I always enjoy your live streams. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Your support really means the world to me. All you guys, even all y'all that aren't super chatting, you guys showing up and being a part of the conversation means the world to me. Really. It does. General Genobi, what's up again, man? They cheer now in Miami until he says now he can send all them home. Yeah, like this is a dun moment. This is going to be interesting. Ali says it's all about oil. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, it is. He said it out loud. He finally said the quiet part out loud because he got what he wanted. You see what I'm saying? In the very beginning, they're double tapping boats. We don't even know if they're really moving weight on those boats, but they're double tapping and making these boats go boom, right? Causing casualties for the sake of what? Oil? It looks like it. Kimberly in Japan, what's up? Thank you so much for the love. Happy New Year, Pascal and fam. Yes, thank you so much. And Happy New Year to you as well, all the way in Japan. Mimi, thank you so much for all the super chats. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Marie No Fuss, thank you so much for the love. This is so dangerous. Yeah, I mean, there's potential for it to be extremely dangerous. Because here's the thing. What if, because apparently Maduro had a meeting with the leader of China, if I'm correct. So he had a whole conversation earlier that day before he actually was detained. So what, actually, let me show you. It's right here. I got it right here. Look at this. So apparently he was in talks in talks about alliances with China. Yo. Okay. So then he got captured later that day while the Chinese delegation still remains in Venezuela. So again, is China going to react to this situation? That's not good because it could ruffle some feathers. But Maduro apparently had a meeting with the leader of China, Xi Jinping. Hopefully I'm saying his name correctly. Just earlier that day, before he was caught trying to run into a panic room. That's exactly what he was doing when they caught him. He was running with his wife into a panic room, and he was intercepted by Delta Force. Yeah. Wild, right? And then, Trump's like, it was a very thick door, but we were able to cut through it. Over time, we were able to cut it. He was just running to it, So he's running to this panic room with a thick-ass door that would have been probably very hard to cut through. And he was intercepted. Crazy, right? Reed, thank you so much for gifting 1 membership. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And then here's the other thing, too. I did think it was interesting that he said, because they talked about, why didn't you talk to Congress about this first? Why didn't you give them a heads up before ish hit the fan? And he said, I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want to give out a leak. I didn't want that to leak. That is a good question. I don't know who the leak would be, but of course that would have been something that would have leaked to the general public. That would have gotten to the media, and he would have been, I'm sure that he would have been ridiculed or chastised for wanting to do what he said he was going to do, right? Still remains to be seen, right? But nonetheless, very shocking turn of events over the course of almost 12 hours. I mean, the strikes happened late last night. That's why Trump looks so tired, because he's been up all night watching them do this thing, like watching a TV show. Didn't he say that? Wild. Corey, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Welcome to the family, every single last one of y'all. For those who have been gifted memberships, they're giving you guys some positive energy. Please send that energy back out to somebody out there, okay? Not to me. Just go open the door for somebody. Be nice to somebody, extra nice today to somebody. We need more positivity in the world. 2026 is already starting off wild. So again, let's do the right thing and pay it forward as best as you can, okay? But this is nuts. So we'll see what happens. But this is all about oil. Has nothing to do with substances. Has nothing to do with the trade de agua. Trade de agua? I don't know. The 3 of water? I don't know what it was. I don't know how to pronounce it. Trend de agua? I don't know. Has nothing to do with the cartels and gangs. Sure, it's part of it, but it's not the whole thing. The main focus is liquid gold. Liquid gold. That's it. Anyway, guys, that is the show. We'll see how this whole thing transpires. Hopefully this does not pop something else off. I really hope it doesn't, but we will see. Stay tuned. We'll be keeping an eye on all this for sure. And all the other things that we're keeping an eye on. It's insane. So please do me a favor. Before you head out, Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. And if you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, make sure you're following me on those. Subscribe right here on my main channel. Go check out my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips and Pascal Raw. That's my third channel. So go and check those things out. Hit that notification bell after you hit that subscribe button. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because honestly, a lot of it is breaking news, all right? Just like this show. So hit that notification bell. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. But if you want to support even further, go check out my Patreon. It's in the ticker right down there, okay? Support, check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there, so go check it out, okay, guys? But anyway, it's time to get going. Much love to you guys. I'll see you guys soon enough, I'm sure, because I'm sure we're not done with more breaking news stuff that's going on with this down south. Anyway, guys, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show.